Thank you, Chandana. Can I have the presentation on the screen, Aditya? Okay, thank you. So a warm good evening to one and all present here. So myself, Safia PS, MSW second year student of Sri Shabarisha College, Kerala. So today I'll be discussing about the topic revitalizing social work education, an approach to unearth indigenous social work practice. So basically, the indigenous knowledge system always provides a strong root for the indigenous practice, and the education system has mostly been from a global perspective rather than from a grassroots level. So this paper basically claims for a paradigm shift that paves way for incorporating the indigenous perspectives in the education for developing a culturally responsive practice. So this paper or this presentation, the Revitalizing Social Work Education, an approach to unearth indigenous social practice, rigorously explores to make the social work practice more inclusive and culturally responsive in nature. Can I have the next slide? So without further ado, let us discuss the basic concept that I would like to discuss about today. So first of all, we have to understand what social work education is. So basically, it's a training that has been formulated to mold individuals to practice the social work. So social work education involves organized academic training aimed at preparing the individuals for professional practice in the field of social work. So basically, it provides students with essential knowledge, skills, and ethical principles required to support individuals, families, groups, and communities in improving their well-being and addressing societal challenges. So moving on to the next concept, indigenous social practice. So this indigenous social practice involves a set of approach that integrates the knowledge of the indigenous community. So this practice refers to the approaches and methods of social work that are rooted in the cultural traditions, values, and knowledge systems of the indigenous communities. And this particular practice emphasizes the importance of understanding and respecting the unique historical, spiritual, and social contexts of the indigenous communities. Next slide, please. Okay, thank you. So why this cultural integration matters, or why this indigenous inclusion matters in social work education? So this cultural relevance in social practice is essential because it ensures that interventions, policies, and services are tailored to meet the diverse needs of the individuals and communities. So basically, there are several points that I would like to elaborate on. So the first one is client-centered intervention. So this cultural integration roots for a client-centered intervention approach. So this include so the cultural relevance ensures that the social work interventions aligns with the beliefs, values, and practices of the clients. So the clients are more likely to engage and benefit from the services that acknowledge and respect the cultural identities. And it also promotes a sort of better trust. So trust is built when the clients feel their cultural background is acknowledged and respected, and also it promotes equity and inclusion. So a culturally relevant approach helps address systematic biases and ensures marginalized groups receive fair and appropriate services and support and sustainability. So practices rooted in indigenous knowledge and indigenous practices is always sustainable in nature. Can we move on to the next slide, please? Okay, so the problem statement that I would like to address through this paper is the under-recognition of indigenous wisdom and practices. So this indigenous knowledge has long been secluded from the mainstream of the social work education, which hinders the representation of the indigenous communities as well as in making the social work practitioners culturally competent. So the objectives or the objective of this paper or the presentation is to delve deeply into the ways and means through which the indigenous wisdom can be integrated into formal social work education. So the research focused in finding out the current barriers or challenges that are existing as a blockage in the shaping of indigenous social work practice, and to put forth certain recommendations so as to make the social work practice more inclusive in nature of the indigenous aspects. So can we move on to the next slide? Okay, so for the methodology, I've conducted a systematic reference and overview of various scholarly articles from various renowned sources has been taken. So for the literature review, due to the time limitations, I won't be explaining that much. Yeah, we'll be discussing about the need for revitalization. I have discussed the revitalizing social work education. Why there is this need for this revitalization? So the first one is tailored interventions. Only by revitalizing the or revamping or modifying the social work education with the indigenous knowledge, that we can have tailored interventions that addresses the unique needs of the different communities. And it also it is also important or needed in improving the cultural competency. So this cultural competency of the social work practitioners help them in working with different communities and respecting their culture as such. So growing recognition is the third need. So global trends show a growing recognition and incorporation of indigenous practices across various fields, including social work, healthcare, environmental conservation, and education. So even growing recognition of indigenous knowledge is there also visible in the international policies in UN Declaration and United Nations Declaration on Rights of Indigenous Peoples emphasizes the importance of preserving and promoting indigenous cultures and practices. And also, next is the promoting social justice. So by inculcating this indigenous practices or indigenous knowledge into the mainstream social work education, we are promoting the social justice of these indigenous communities, thereby promoting the human rights. And moving on to next, which is cultural irrelevance. So there has been cultural irrelevance in the sense like by integrating this indigenous wisdom, we are addressing the cultural irrelevance. Many current curricula are rooted in the non-indigenous traditions and aspects. So by adding this, we are addressing this particular cultural irrelevance and providing more inclusion to the indigenous communities. So next is upholding indigenous knowledge. So by integrating this indigenous knowledge, we are upholding our own rooted knowledge system to the mainstream systems. So can we move on to the next slide? So these are several challenges and barriers that I find out during my research. One is the excessive reliance to non-indigenous models. So the academic curricula has been long been rooted in the non-indigenous models, which needs to be changed in order to incorporate this indigenous wisdom to the social work education. Next is the under recognition of the local context. So the local context or the indigenous communities have been long been under recognized, like not enough recognition has been given to these aspects, so which hinders the inclusion as well. So disempowerment of the indigenous wisdom. So the indigenous wisdom has not been empowered to be to the extent so as to include it in the mainstream knowledge system and a relaxed view. So it is often considered as something that is informal, something that is more of a relaxed nature, which need not be included, need not necessarily be included in the mainstream system. So that view is also hindering this inclusion and inadequacy of research. So there is lack of research when it comes to the indigenous knowledge systems, or the indigenous based research works are limited, so which also hindering this inclusion. And also there is reluctance to embrace the change. So the academic institutions has to be more adaptive in nature to embrace this changes, the alterations that might be happening within the education system once this indigenous knowledge are incorporated. So these are some of the findings. Moving on to the next slide, Adityan, can I have it? Yes, thank you. So moving on to some of the recommendations and suggestions as well as social work implications. So the first recommendation is to revamp the curriculum. So, or we can say that reforming of the curriculum. So basically it involves including the indigenous case studies, such as using the real world examples and case studies from the indigenous context to demonstrate how traditional knowledge and practices can address the contemporary social issues, and also the development of specialized courses that are dedicated to teaching the indigenous practices, knowledge, worldviews, etc. And also revising the existing curricula. So there is a curricula that is already existing. So we have to revise it in order to add the like community practice, more holistic approach. Okay, so the next point is community involvement or community collaboration. So actively involve the indigenous elders, community leaders, cultural practitioners as educators, and their experience and traditional knowledge can provide invaluable insights into the community-based social practice. So, and also establishing partnership with the indigenous communities to facilitate Field placement for social work students, ensuring they gain hands-on experience with indigenous social work practices. So students can observe and engage in culturally appropriate service delivery, such as community meetings, the local conflict resolution practices, etc. So the third one is knowledge building. So as I've mentioned, one of the barrier is the lack of or the inadequacy of the research. So promote indigenous focused research, encourage research on indigenous social practices, documenting traditional approaches to community welfare, and establish partnership between academic institutions and indigenous communities to ensure research is culturally appropriate and beneficial to everyone. So next is policy change efforts. So as social workers, this is something that is very quite relevant to our field. So advocate for the formal recognition of the indigenous knowledge within the social work education. So ensuring it becomes an essential part of the curriculum, and work with the regulatory bodies and accreditation agencies to ensure that the indigenous practices and community engagement are included as key competencies for social work professionals. So, moving on to the final recommendation, which is the personnel training. So, personnel in when it comes to the social work education are the academicians and the teachers. So, they train them on offering professional development programs. So, like provide them with professional development programs for social work educators to familiarize them with the indigenous cultures, practices, and values. So, this knowledge can be imparted to the pupils as well. So these are some of the recommendations, and social work implications can be like educating the academicians, educating the community about the relevance of this indigenous integration, and also the also advocating for this policy changes so as to bring about this inclusion in order to make sure that the social practices is also indigenously rooted as well. Can we move on to the next slide, please? Okay, so I would like to discuss a little case study. University of Melbourne, Australia, integrating Indigenous knowledge in social work curriculum. So the University of Melbourne has made significant strides in integrating the Indigenous perspectives into its social work curriculum. So the program includes fieldwork placements with Aboriginal communities, where students learn directly from the Indigenous leaders, elders, healers. So this is one successful case study, or this is one successful example how this indigenous wisdom can be integrated into the social practice to make it more culturally responsive. So adopting such practices to the country as examples by each country will promote this integration as soon as possible. So alone we can do so little, together we can do so much. So as social workers, it is our responsibility to bring forth this aspect to the mainstream. Can we move on to the next slide? Yes. Okay. So these are some of the references, as you can see in the in my presentation. So I hope the concept that I discussed was clear. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening to me. Next slide, please. Okay. Thank you, everyone, once again.
Okay, thank you, Safia. Thank you for the enlightening presentation on the topic revitalizing social work education and approach to unearth indigenous social work practice. And now it's time for asking questions and sharing thoughts. We have some time for clearing the queries. If you have any doubt, please type it in the chat box or otherwise ask directly. Hi, Elisa. If you have any queries, please ask. Okay, if anyone has no further doubts, um, we can just move on to the next presentation. Once again, I'm thanking Ms. Safia for the fruitful presentation and also each and everyone who had participated in the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Chandana, for moderating the presentation. So let us welcome Aparna, the trainee social worker of Sri Sabirisha College, Kerala, for the next presentations.
Thank you, Anjana. Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, Abarna.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm Abarna Shaji, trainee social worker from Sri Shabarisha College. It is my privilege to serve as the mediator for today's section. We are honored to have Mr. Shamsuddin A.T., research scholar from Lovely Professional University, Bhagwara, Punjab, with us. He will be discussing or presenting on the topic socio-economic and cultural significance on the Panapatta system that prevailed in the Malabar region. Let us warmly welcome him. Over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Is my side is visible? Hello,
Yes, sir. Yes,
can we start?
yes, you can.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. Respected Chief Guest of the program, Dr. Anish Kumar, and our beloved Principal, Mr. Dijesh of Sri Shabri College, Mr. Vijay Harish Kumar, Associate Professor, Ms. Bivimol Assis, Head of the Department of Social Work, Sri Shabri College, and other important personalities and dear students on this platform. First of all, I express my sincere gratitude for giving me this wonderful opportunity to present my topic. The name of the topic, a detailed study about the socio-economic cultural significance of the Panampayattu system that prevailed in the Malabar region. So, my dear students, have you seen this type of the invitation? This is the invitation of the Panampayattu. This is the indigenous system or financial system that was existed in northern Kerala. So actually a formal system, a formal financial system is purposefully created and set up its own systematic rules, regulations, and modes of operandi system. But the informal system has spontaneously evolved to meet society's requirements. The system and its operations are indigenous and based on traditions and customs. Anyhow, both systems have played a great role in the socio-economic development of the society. This seminar paper wants to study one of such indigenous system named Panampayattu, a unique system of lending and borrowing that exists till now in northern part of the Kerala. This system is unique and trusted system for borrowing money that has existed for centuries in northern Kerala. It opens on the principle of mutual trust and community support. It offers a compelling alternative to conventional banking method. It promotes social connection, fosters trust, provides a safety net for those in need. So this system, we have to understand that if you need money urgently, especially when a bank was not popularized, so where will you get this money? If you approach the bank, you must provide collateral and interest should be also be paid. If these are obtained on the basis of mutual trust and confidence, it will be relaxed. This indigenous system of collection of money fundraising was known as Panapayattu, which was existed in various parts of Kerala till 2000. So when we borrow the money, we will feel some inferiority complex. That's a human nature. But if we conduct the Panambayatu and raise a fund through this Panambayatu system, we will feel proudness and relaxation. What is the meaning of Panambayatu? Panam literally means money, and Bayatu means fighting, as it indicates one of the reputed martial arts, Kalaripayatu, which were very familiar in northern part of the Kerala. So how this system works? It means that it was a proud thing to make more networks for Payatu and invite the people to Payatu and collecting the essential amount. So we will form a network for Payatu and invite those people who were in Payatu network. We will call those persons and will be treated with dignity and provided the best food as per the capacity of the invited, as per the invite. The venue will be sometime Payatu Hall. Payatu Hall, we can see that type of the Payatu Hall in northern Malabar, northern Kerala. The venue will be Payatu Hall. Sometime that may be the hotel, sometime house of the invitee.
Shamsuddin sir.
Tell me. Hello?
So can you please move the slides?
Okay. Then you want to, then I went to faster. Okay. The collection of amount from, so is there any problem? Hello? Hello?
So could you please move the slides?
Okay. Okay. The collection amount from each invited person will be recorded very carefully. So this is a system. So this was a literature review about the Panambayatu. So it's speak about its relevance and also its function as a bank also, like it function in a rural area, like as a microfinance also. There are so many literature review speak about the importance of the Panambayatu. So the objective of the study, detailed study about the various type of Panambayatu and its process of lending and repayment of money. To analyze the role of Panambayatu in the socio-economic development and maintain the communal harmony of the area where these systems apply. Examine the reason for disappearance of this system from the major part of the northern Kerala and limited to, it was limited. It was decline and limited to some part of it. What is the reason for that? And the fourth one, explore the potential for adapting and integrating elements of Panambayatu in the contemporary social work practice from a global. So I want to analyze in the contemporary social practice also. So the method of study, the pyramid as collected through the stakeholder of the Panambayatu of the area and expert on the subject. And also secondary data collected from the review of the institution's report, research papers and historical record, articles of magazine, newspapers and blogs of
Hello. Your presentation is still in the first page.
Yeah.
Hello.
Sir, that is not moving. That slides are not moving.
Moving.
Sir, can you make some arrangements for showing that slide, sir?
Or close and open again.
Okay, it is not moving.
Yeah, yes, it is not moving, sir. That's
It's moving.
issue.
Okay.
Now there is no presentation, so we can again show that slides.
Okay, then I think some problems there also.
Yeah, Aditya, what may be the issue? Can you solve the issue, Aditya?
If hello, sir. Then
Yeah.
Is there any arrangement there also? I have already mailed the. Now I'm managing the slides. Now I had. Is there any?
Aditya, are you in the meeting, Aditya? So the technical committee, please.
Okay. The next slide.
Yeah.
You take the objective.
Right. It's okay. It's okay now.
Okay. Move.
Please proceed, sir. Please proceed.
From the starting. No, it will take the time. Okay. Okay.
Now it is in the starting.
Seventh slide. You have to say seventh slide also. Okay. Okay.
Three,
Move. Move.
5.
Move. Move. Okay. No, literature
Now we
review.
are
Okay.
seeing the literature review slides.
Okay. We can move. Objectives also. Objectives.
Fine.
Okay. So,
Yeah,
objective,
fine.
detailed study about the various type of Panambaitu and its process of lending and repayment of the money. To analyze the role of Panambaitu in the socio-economic development and maintaining the communal harmony of the area where this system applied. 3. Examine the reason for the disappearance of the system from the major part of the northern Kerala, and now it is limited to some part of the Malabar. For one, the exposure, the potential of adapting and integrating elements of Panambaitu into contemporary social work practice from a global perspective also. More than next slide. So this method of study, the data was collected from the stakeholders, Panambaitu of the area and expert on the subject. And secondary data collected from the review of the institution's report, research papers and historical record, articles of magazine and newspapers, and blogs reported these matters also. The next slide. So there are different types of the Panambaitu also. This is a regular form of Panambaitu. In this form of Panambaitu, investigation letter never mentioned the purpose of Panambaitu. Money exchange take place based on trust. This form of Panambaitu will be conducted based on the completion of the Puli or Kuti. People with whom Panambaitu relation exists. So who conduct the Panambaitu, that people is not Puli and Kuti. So if they paid 80% of the amount of this Panambaitu repaid, then they should be completed to conduct the next before the next Panambaitu. So they will be allowed to conduct the next Panambaitu. Generally, the duration from one Panambaitu to another Panambaitu is 3 years, 3 and 5 years. 2.5 to 3.5 years. Okay, next slide. This is special purpose of Panambaitu also. This difference between the regular Panambaitu and specific purpose of Panambaitu. This have the invitation letter and purposefully it will be mentioned the reason for conducting this type of the Panambaitu. If we know this Panambaitu conductor maybe conductor regarding the marriage and purchase of the land and purchase of the equipment, purchase of the ornament, and also there will be so many purposes also. To meet these requirements also, they will conduct this purposefully Panambaitu, the specific purpose of the Panambaitu. Next. So this is a special type of Panambaitu. So some people, they may not be able to repayment of the money also. So what will be there also? So this Panambaitu for those people, this purposefully known as Sahaya Kuri. The main intention of Sahaya Paitu is to help the poor to satisfy specific need. This Sahaya Paitu will be invited either through invitation letter or through an oral invitation from a common place. Generally, some contributor will not be returned. No need of the repayment of this Sahaya Paitu. Next. Hello. Next slide. So what happened there, sir? So this was existed in northern Malabar and through the centuries also. It was familiar in this area also, very helpful. But gradually it was started to decline. Panambaitu, a traditional social collateral-based indigenous financing system relevant in Malabar, is facing imminent demise due to the inability to adapt to the evolving socio-economic landscape. Despite its historical significance in fostering economic and social development within the region, particularly in cultivating saving, it's gradually declined and was limited. And the system was limited to some part of the Calicut and Kannur districts due to various reasons. There are so many reasons for this also, multiple reasons. The principal reason pointed out the table after analyzing the primary data collected through the face-to-face interview using a structured interview schedule from 176 responders. This was a study conducted by Dr. Babu, associate professor. So we can see that study analyze the result. This is the reason, quitting by many of the one's client. This is major reason and difficulty to maintain and bad debts and low turnover, fail in personal income, having not to continue PP and having become old, switching to better alter because of the bank is popularized. migration to health. There's some reason for that. Next. So when we analyze this system in a global perspective, so we can see so many things also. We can go first. So when we study, this is the main features of the system when we, in a global perspective also, financial inclusion. Panambai to provided access to credit for individual and families who might not have access to the traditional bank system. So it served as a crucial safety net, particularly during times of financial hardship. And also it made a community bonding. The system fostered social ties within the community. Participation often belonged to the same social or friends, family, or leading to sense of shared responsibility and mutual reports also. And risk mitigation. By pooling resources, participants could collectively manage the risks associated with the unforeseen expenses like wedding, medical emergencies, or agricultural losses also. In this time, it reduced their risk. Next. And also saving mobilization. It encouraged saving habits among its members. Regular contribution acted as a form of forced savings. And also it improved their economic situation also, because it solved their financial requirement and improved their financial condition, and especially the rural area. Panambai offered a degree of financial independence and control over household finances. Social and values, it encouraged, it reflected real social norms and values like cooperation, trust, and reciprocity. It emphasized the importance of community welfare and collective responsibility. And it kept the cultural identity. It became integral part of the cultural identity of the Malabar region. And traditional knowledge. The system represents a form of traditional knowledge passed down through generation, showcase the wisdom and ingenuity of local communities. Next. So this system is declining. So what is the present status also? Our former system is not enough to solve our requirement. This is a recent report of the NABARD also. 66% of the Kerala peoples are in debt also. They have no saving. Only 35% of the peoples have the saving. And this is a real situation also, because if you support the in informal system like Panambai also, it will be a solution for the requirements also. Okay, then go to the next slide. So what is the relevant in the contemporary context also? Even though our system is developed, our financial system is not enough to, our formal system is not enough to solve our financial requirement. So our traditional and indigenous financial system to be encouraged and formalized. This Panambai to be formalized by putting systematic rules and regulations. There are so many examples. Our cities was formalized, and also our queries were formalized also. And also second reason, when the traditional Panambai system is male dominated, women have no representation in decision making and its operation. Hence we have to integrate it with our self-help groups also, and utilize for rising. Many self-groups also they're facing the financial crisis also. So to rise in the fund also, we have to integrate the system with self-help group. And also it will be very helpful for the micro enterprises and self-employment, which was essential part of the financial inclusion. And this is an effective tool for social inclusion. So Panambai to be modified as a social economic changes of the society. We have to modify this system as per the social changes also and economic changes also, because it's the best tool. When we conduct the Panambai also, people will come irrespective of caste and religion and economy, they will join. So they will find out the solution for the problem together. So this is a best tool for social inclusion. And documenting and preserving the cultural significance of Panambai to, okay. These are the relevance. This is a contemporary of the content. The next. Okay, conclusion. Social work is not only our profession, but also mission. Yesterday, Abhi sir mentioned that also. That should be our passion. First of all, we should identify ourselves and locate our space in the society. And we have to respect our indigenous knowledge, wisdom, and values also. We have, as our country is proud with different kinds of indigenous knowledge and wisdom. So we have to respect, identify, and respect. Rethink it from a global perspective, especially this Panambayatu, and restructure it in contemporary social work practice. And this is the purpose of this presentation. Introducing the indigenous financial system is an attempt to spark an innovative thought provoking among us. So as a social worker, students also, you have to rethink, you have to think this type of the indigenous knowledge and wisdom. By conducting through research of the Panambay system and other indigenous finance system, we can gain a deeper understanding of their unique contribution to social economic development. This knowledge can be used to form the design and implement more. Okay, actually, then this is the this is the end of the slide also. If you have any query regarding this is the reference part also. Okay, then presentation is over. So I think all of you have understand. If you have any queries and doubts, it's very clear. Thank you.
Yes, this is the time for addressing any doubts or queries. Participants are encouraged to either type their questions in the chat box or unmute the microphone to ask directly. Is there any doubts? Okay, it seems there are no further doubts or queries. So thank you, Shamsuddin sir, for your informative presentation, and we would like also to thank all the participants for your attention and engagement. Thank you.
Okay.
Anjana?